Hello, welcome to the video. I will be talking about climate change and its effect on the Black community. So before we start, let's learn what climate change and global warming are. Global warming is caused by increased amounts of sunlight coming through the atmosphere of the planet and hitting its surface, which causes its temperature to increase. Not only does this have the effect of melting polar ice caps in the North and South Pole, thus making the sea level rise, but it also leads to erratic climate patterns all across the world. The effects of climate change and global warming are far-reaching. So the most important one is flooding. Many coastal cities, including those in the United States, due to climate change and global warming, will eventually be uninhabitable due to torrential flooding. The rising sea level means that the tides will be higher, and it means that when floods do occur, it'll take longer for them to recede. However, the effects are not limited to just flooding as well. Deforestation, which is caused by droughts, wildfires, and other climate phenomena, are also effects of climate change and global warming. These can lead to animals being displaced. We see this in the North and South Pole, where polar bears and penguins are dying at very high rates due to the changing climates in their natural environments. And as I mentioned before, an increasing number of natural disasters will also occur due to climate change and global warming. So here's the reason why this matters. New York, Louisiana, Florida, and California to some degree are all coastal states. And because of this, when the sea level rises, it affects them the most. Not only does that matter from just a human standpoint, but also from a Black standpoint, because these three states, including these three states that I've just listed, are filled with Black people, filled with Black communities. Louisiana in particular is where New Orleans is. And New Orleans already deals with flooding at a higher rate than most states in the country. So if the sea level continues to rise, New Orleans may not exist. Florida as well, and of course New York. Not only will this lead to these places no longer existing, but these communities will be displaced, and those people who live in them will be displaced. The ramifications of that will be huge. People will have to flee and find new homes, and not only that, but economically, the effects of climate change will be just massive. As the planet will get hotter, more floods will occur. This also has the effect of limiting the amount of food that can be grown and increasing the amount of animals that die due to things like deforestation, droughts, and even heat waves. However, these issues will not only affect warm months as well, they will affect winters. So winters will become longer, more harsh, more blizzards, more nor'easters, more snow, more ice. Summers will become hotter and hotter until it'll get to the point where we may not even be able to go outside for weeks at a time. And what makes the situation worse and what makes it more dire is the fact that it's not just natural. We're also feeling these things: pollution, water pollution, air pollution, but mostly pollution that degrades the atmosphere has led to climate change becoming a very big issue in these past couple of decades. And one of the biggest concerns is that it's not irreversible. And I know many people will say that if that's the case, why should we care? Well, the point is, it's going to keep getting worse if we don't address it. It may, like I said, get to the point where for weeks or months at a time, we may not be able to go outside because it's just that dangerous. So, and Black people will suffer the most if no action is taken. Not only because we already suffer from the ramifications of things like poverty and environmental degradation, but mostly because we are always put into situations and communities that are impoverished when it comes to good food, good um, infrastructure, and whatnot. So if people think that this isn't going to affect Black people, it is. All right, here are some examples. So on the right is Venice. So as some of you may know, Venice was flooding um, last year, or about I think it was late last year. So it was flooding. So the city was flooded, and that's just an example of one city. It could happen to Florida. I mean, there's cities right now that are flooding, but it could happen to cities in Florida, cities across the East Coast, potentially the West Coast as well. But the point is that it's a big problem. On the left, this is a marsh in Florida. So a plastic company called Formosa, for the past decade or so, maybe a little bit less time than that, they've been polluting the water and the area around this marsh with PVC pellets. So basically, plastic pellets that not only are people eating because the wildlife are eating them, the fish, but they're also having an effect on um, the wildlife, but they're also having an effect on the fishing business, which is really big down there. So there are ways to stop the there are ways to stop climate change from completely destroying the planet, and there are ways to stop global warming from just destroying humanity as we know it. First of all, we can decrease the usage of fossil fuels and put more of an emphasis on sustainable renewable energy. Furthermore, we can reduce carbon emissions, pollution through water and soil, and force companies to be more strict when it comes. We can be force companies to be more cognizant of the effects that they're having on the environment. Of course, none of this matters if we don't elect the right people. So we need to elect the right politicians, the right lawmakers who will make sure that these changes will come about. An example one is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who wants to institute what is called a Green New Deal. So not only is this plan a environmental plan, it's a labor plan, it's an infrastructure plan. It encompasses many different areas. So the basis of it is that she wants to create a create a society where we stop using fossil fuels and we solely use renewable energy, solar energy, water, and wind. Also, she wants to she wants to she wants us to decrease the usage of plastics and essentially just cartel our pollution, how much pollution we put out into the earth. For those people who have questions, feel free to talk to me, email me, let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions. If you want to make a change, let me know, and I will put you in contact, and I will add you to a group that is actively working to get stuff done. Thank you.